In addition to almost a dozen of his own drawings, like the Kingfisher, he sent page after page of transcribed poetry to fill out this enticing vision. He fawned shamelessly over Rapard's work. Your brushstroke often has an individual, distinctive, reasoned, deliberate touch, and hinted heavily that he could enlist his brother's assistance to further his friend's career. He even interrupted his fierce feud with Theo to plead Rapard's case as one of the people who will count. If you should feel personal sympathy for Rapard's work, he wrote, he would certainly not feel indifferent toward you either. Shrugging off Rapard's harsh criticism of his weaver drawings, he cast himself as a good-natured bohemian Puck, willing to poke fun at himself as well as at the pretensions of others. Giving no hint of the winter's many trials, he summoned his friend to an artist's May Day on the heaths of Brabant. Despite their similar blue blouses and felt hats, the two men made an odd couple indeed on the sandy streets and country byways of Nuenen. Rapard, who was accustomed to frequent, extended sketching trips, traveled light, carrying only his sketch-pad, a tiny tripod easel, knee-height when unfolded, and a book-sized paint-box, a burden so light he had one hand free for a stylish walking stick. Vincent, on the other hand, brought his studio with him, a folding chair, a heavy combination paint-box, larger sketchbooks, and the cumbersome perspective frame. Even inattentive field workers must have marked the difference in their gaits, the one brisk and self-assured, with a straight back and outthrust chest, the other plodding and round-shouldered under his burden. The villagers and farmers they approached would have found the contrast even more striking close up. Rapard's thick, dark hair and finely trimmed beard, Vincent's bristly, short-cropped hair and wild whiskers, Rapard's soft, slightly crossed eyes, Vincent's crystalline, blue-green glare. For 10 days, Vincent did everything in his power to erase the differences between the two men. After introducing Rapard to the weavers who had obsessed his imagination for so long, he indulged his friend's interest in more picturesque subject matter. He led expeditions to some of the ancient mills that dotted the countryside around Nuenen, exactly the kind of conventional imagery that Vincent had spurned in the past. He had to ask directions to find some of them. The two spent hours in the town tavern, where Vincent entertained the cosmopolitan Anton with jokes about the locals, and, no doubt, pleaded anew all the arguments for solidarity that had filled his letters over the previous months. The brotherhood of painters, the dangers of studio style, the mystery of present-day trends like Impressionism, and especially the loneliness of the artist's life. Complaints that must have sounded sad and strange to Rapard, who had just celebrated his 26th birthday by founding yet another social club for his fellow artists in Utrecht. But one subject never failed to bring them closer: women. Even before his friend's arrival, the topic was much on Vincent's mind. The final breakup with Sienne had left him without any prospect of physical intimacy. I have always lived with a certain warmth, he told Theo in despondent euphemisms. Now everything is getting grimmer and colder and more dreary around me. I will not stand it. He turned first, as always, to prostitutes, which he probably found in Eindhoven, a larger commercial center, where he also bought his paints. He sent his brother elaborate rationalizations and a bitter lament. I have not yet had enough experience with women. He claimed as his new example their womanizing Uncle Cent, whose motto, according to Vincent, was this winking license: one may be as good as one likes. In the very same breath, he began demanding more money from models and bemoaning the difficulty of finding them. He may have signaled his ultimate intention by complimenting the impressionist Edouard Manet, whose work he barely knew, especially Manet's paintings of nude women. Rapard's impending visit only stoked the fire. Ever since their joint expeditions to the Marolles, Brussels' red light district, in 1881, sex had been the other passion the two men shared. Vincent set the tone for the coming encounter by sending not only sheaves of his drawings,